My name is Dr. Chris Peterson. I'm an upper cervical chiropractor in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in practice since 2003. Went into private practice doing the traditional full spine type chiropractic. Your traditional chiropractor, when they're addressing the lower spine, they're addressing what we in upper cervical call misalignments, which are misaligned vertebrae in the lower spine that do create issues. But there was a cause for those misalignments, and typically that's coming from compensating for the lack of the ability to balance your head at the top of your neck. So instead of treating the symptom down below, we actually go to the top of the neck and address the cause. For many years, most of my patients came in to see me for things like back pain, neck pain. Some of those adjustments, they felt really good and the patient's feeling great, but they would always come in with this short leg. When I would make the adjustment, they would be even and they would leave, and then we'd come back and that leg would be short again. And I always wondered why. When I got into upper cervical, a lot of the questions that I had were answered. One day, a guy named Tom comes in and told me he hadn't been able to stand up straight for the last 3 months. So I checked his lower spine and I found 3 vertebrae that weren't moving properly in his lower back. I adjusted his upper neck at the atlas, and when I went back down to check his lower back, there was nothing left for me to do. And I told myself when I was in school that I would never adjust without a reason to adjust. And so I stuck to my guns and asked Tom to stand up. And when Tom stood up straight. This is an enlarged model of the upper cervical spine. We have C1 atlas at the top, and the axis underneath it is the axis that the atlas rotates upon. And my job is basically to find exactly how this vertebra is subluxed and then make my adjustment in order to restore motion in that direction. And when that happens, it takes the pressure off the brainstem and real good things happen. When I got into the upper cervical care, I noticed that my patients started to change. People were coming in with a lot more serious conditions, things like Alzheimer's disease, epilepsy, Tourette syndrome, and these types of things. And the first step was I brought in the thermography instrument. And the thermography instrument really humbled me because what I found out was that all of my patients were still subluxated. This is the Titron 7000, and it's picking up temperatures on the right side of the spine and temperatures on the left side of the spine. The colors are basically describing the level of temperature differential from left to right. And what we should see is balance and symmetry. But what this thing typically finds when we have a new patient coming in is that we'll get the same exact scan over and over and over again. What that indicates is a lack of adaptability in that nervous system. So when we establish that pattern, that is what's going to let us know when, and even more importantly, when not to adjust you. So I was visiting one of my patients at his shop across the street, and I looked into the back and I saw this young lady with her hands over her head. I said, "What's wrong with her?" And she's having a really bad migraine. Over time, she started to develop seizures.
Then she got diagnosed with not just Tourette's, but restless leg syndrome. Now we're adding more titles to the whole equation. Everybody's telling me medication, medication, medication. Let's try something different. So we did.
So when Amira first came in and we let her down the hall, we brought her back in order to start her nerve system testing and getting her scans and her x-rays. This is the picture of her neck from the side. Now keep in mind, this is a 16-year-old girl. The red line that you're seeing here is the shape that her neck should be in, okay? But what we're seeing is this stair-stepping of the vertebra.
At that point, he did an adjustment.
It was a pretty incredible moment because once I made that first adjustment, you could see her eyes just open up really big.
And as soon as she got up, she smiled. And then, as the days progressed, within a week, her tics are diminishing.
She's not having seizures anymore. She rarely ever has a headache anymore.
And pretty much brought my daughter back. But to know that she's gonna have a healthy, long, and happy life, that's every parent's dream. So for that, I'm forever grateful.
If I go back and I think about some of the cases that I've taken care of over the last 20 years in practice, it really humbles me. Never know what you're gonna get, Somebody might walk through that door with a with another debilitating life issue that they've tried everything for their entire lives, and that's that moment where I just get really giddy, and I'm really excited to see what chiropractic can do in their lives.